In this lesson, we will discuss the following ECAM messages: ELAC 1 fault, ELAC 1 and 2 fault, flaps locked, stabilizer jam 1, stabilizer jam 2, side stick fault, left and right elevator fault. A fault in a single flight control computer requires that it be switched off, then on again to attempt a reset. The other computer assumes the functions of the failed computer, except for a sec failure where the associated spoilers will be lost. Caution: do not reset an ELAC if uncommanded maneuvers occurred during the flight. Touch the right arrow to continue. The failure of both ELACs or FACs, or all three secs, again requires that they all be reset, and if unsuccessful, the aircraft will be in alternate law, with associated protections lost. Touch the right arrow to continue. The flaps are currently selected to and indicating Config 1 in flight. Touch the flaps lever to select Config 2. Recall that, due to flaps or slats asymmetry, runaway or uncommanded movement, the wingtip brakes are activated and the flaps and/or slats are locked in their current position. The wingtip brakes can only be reset on the ground. In this example, the flaps have locked between positions 1 and 2. The flaps locked caution is generated along with the master caution and single chime. ECAM advises that the wingtip brakes are on and displays the maximum flap extension speed for the current flaps lever position. This speed is also represented by the red and black max speed strip on the PFD speed scale. Clear flight controls by pressing the Clear button on the ECAM control panel. The status page indicates that flap 3 is to be used for landing. The approach speed additive is added to the VLS speed as displayed on the MCDU approach page and is manually entered by typing it into the scratch pad, then line selecting it into the VAP field. The landing distance must be increased due to the higher approach speed and loss of aerodynamic braking from the flaps. If a diversion was necessary, consider increased fuel consumption to the diversion airport. Refer to FCOM 3.02.10 Operating Techniques, which gives landing, go-around, and diversion procedures and fuel consumption guidelines. Clear status by pressing the Clear button on the ECAM control panel. With a jammed stabilizer, the ECAM procedure recommends checking the manual pitch trim and, if it is available, trim the aircraft to maintain neutral elevator as indicated on the flight control page. Alternate law becomes active, and the autopilot is not available. However, on the A320, control is much easier than on a conventional aircraft because, in alternate pitch law, the flight control computers will deflect the elevators in order to maintain 1G with a side stick neutral. Clear flight controls by pressing the Clear button on the ECAM control panel. Flaps 3 is used for landing, and if manual pitch trim is not available, landing gear extension is delayed until the flaps are in Config 3 and the speed is reduced back to VAP. This is because once the landing gear is down, direct law becomes active, and although the previous elevator position is maintained, any further speed and configuration changes would require constant side stick pressure. Control forces, however, will be light due to the lack of an artificial feel system. The approach speed must be modified to VREF plus 10 on the MCDU approach page, and a landing distance factor must be applied to the landing distance. Whenever this factor is not displayed on ECAM, it can be found in FCOM 3.02.80 Miscellaneous Procedures or in the QRH. In-op systems are listed on the right-hand side of the status page. Attitude, overspeed, and alpha limit protections are not available in alternate law. Clear status by pressing the Clear button on the ECAM control panel. If the pitch trim wheel is jammed, the ELACs may not detect the failure. There will be no ECAM warning, and normal law remains active. The only indication of a problem may be that on the ECAM flight control page, the elevators remain deflected. The procedure can be found in FCOM 3, Abnormal and Emergency Procedures, Flight Controls. Disconnect the autopilot, then check the manual pitch trim operation, and if available, trim to maintain the elevator at the 0 position. If not available, use flap 3 for landing. A side stick fault is generated to warn the crew of a faulty side stick. It is triggered when a pitch or roll transducer has failed. Touch the right arrow to continue. With the loss of both elevators, only manual pitch trim is available for pitch control. As well as the ECAM warning, the message "Manual pitch trim only" is displayed on the PFDs. Do not use the speed brakes because of the induced pitch changes, which may be difficult to control with manual pitch trim only. Clear flight controls by pressing the Clear button on the ECAM control panel. The status page outlines the approach procedures and reminds the pilot that pitch control is mechanical backup and roll control is direct law. Clear status by pressing the Clear button on the ECAM control panel. In this lesson, we have discussed the following ECAM messages: ELAC 1 fault, ELAC 1 and 2 fault, flaps locked, stabilizer jam 1, stabilizer jam 2, side stick fault, left and right elevator fault.